My biggest fear for this area, I think, is the tanker route gets the go-ahead, because worst case scenario, we have an oil spill. Then this entire place is finished.
Who's that up there? Who's that up there?
Having seen the charts, having seen the navigational hazards, having seen the hairpin bends, this place is tough to navigate even in a small boat. It's not a question of, if the oil spill is going to happen. It's a question of when.
It was dark that night, really dark. And we didn't know where it hit until we went through the pass and we came by the rock. That's when we got past the rock, we could see it floating by the Gill Island, close to Gill Rock. And that's when I opened up. So I took 8 people on board my boat, 4 adults and 4 kids. And the kids were still in pajamas and just socks on. And it was cold, north wind blowing northward, eh? And just when I was coming to the entrance of the pass, the crew from the ferry said, "Look, she's going down now." I guess that's when the bow went up and it sunk, eh? They did the count, and we finally found out there was 2 missing. 60 or 60-something people came into Hartley Bay, yet there was 2 missing. Everything was saturated with diesel. There was diesel on top of the water, like as you could see. Must have hit the fuel tank, I think it busted open. But I went to a meeting in Kitimat with Emirates, and I got to speak. And I told them that ocean there is just like a fridge to us native people. If we want something to eat, we just hop on a boat, we go out and get it. I asked what's Emirates going to do when that gets wiped out? How are you going to feed us if we ever have an oil spill? We won't be able to eat anything out of the bush because the bush is connected to the water. And that's why the Indians believe in a circle. I said, everything's in a circle. Human beings are in that circle. Everything is joined together in this world. Everything relies on one another. See, that ferry sinking to me was a warning. Warning about the super tankers coming. And the other warning is that Mexican spill they had. See, today I'm worried about my grandchildren. What's going to be there for them in the future?
The BC Ferry's flagship vessel, the Queen of the North, missed a slight left-hand turn and crashed into Gill Island, just a few miles from Hartley Bay. 2 decades ago, the Exxon Valdez was entering Prince William Sound and hit Bligh Reef, spilling over 200,000 barrels of oil. These vessels were making relatively simple maneuvers, a slight left turn entering a sound many miles wide. But tankers on the proposed Enbridge route would have to make 5 right-angle turns in just over 20 miles, zigzagging around exposed reefs and islands. It's clear that accidents happen, but if one happens here, the potential for destruction is much larger, and none of these coastal communities will be spared. Supertankers proposed for this coastline will carry nearly 10 times the volume of the Exxon Valdez spill. So people are living in fear. People are living in absolute fear about this proposal. And if it ever went through, and if these oil tankers ever came to this place, no one on this coastline would go to bed at night feeling safe or secure. You'd always be wondering, when is the call going to come out that one of these oil tankers have slammed into one of these reefs, and a way of life that has evolved for thousands of years is no longer.
Years ago, the whole world was covered with ice and snow, and the Indians were having a hard time surviving. And God told them, he said, I'm going to make things easy for you. Things are going to start to grow. You'll have food. You'll have trees growing and all that. Look after it. You take care of it. That's why I'm putting that bear in there, to remind you the way the world used to be, all white. That's why the natives call it a spirit bear. And that's a warning to keep this world clean. Because the Creator told us, you got to look after this world, take care of it.
There's a bear. There's a spirit bear right there. Get the tripod.
After not seeing a bear for 3 weeks, a spirit bear came out of the woods, came into the river, and there it was. Now we have a spirit bear right in front of us. Marvin said, just come and sit down by this log. He goes, this bear is an old friend of mine. I've known him since he was a cub. And the bear walked within 2 feet of us. He looks right down at us, and you could smell his breath. You could look into his eyes. And I was just in disbelief. You know, I was living a dream at that moment, being that close to such a great animal. And the bear caught some fish. He continued to fish. As a National Geographic photographer, I'm traveling around the world about 300 days a year, and I've had a lot of incredible encounters with wildlife. So it means a lot for me to say that I had the greatest experience of my photographic career just 3 days ago, while on this rave. And that gift came from my friend Marvin Robinson.